We've arrived at the penultimate episode of the HLTV recap show presented by GG.Bet. It's pretty straightforward, obviously, at this time, so let's just take a look at the bracket as we've reached the semifinals. Only 4 teams remain. Today's matches are going to be Spirit taking on FaZe, NAVI taking on ENCE. 2 of these teams will be our finalists. 1 of them will be major champions by tomorrow evening. FaZe Spirit going to start the day. ENCE NAVI going to cap things off, the cherry on top of this beautiful semifinal Saturday. It was pretty obvious that the ROPS pickup at the start of 2022 was going to make FaZe contenders, but they wasted no time. IEM Katowice champions, ESL Pro League champions, now on a march to the grand finals of the major. We focus so much on the new blood within FaZe. Let's take a look at the boomers. If Kerrigan's stats don't impress you, remember, he's calling some of the best CS of his career right now, and I don't know who said Rain should get dropped out for Katowice, but it really pissed him off. He's been incredible. And Spirit, meanwhile, has just been cruising. Dexter's been the main man, but some of these guys were academy players just a few months back. Look how deep the performance go on such a young and inexperienced roster. They've been nothing short of impressive, and win or lose today, they should be proud of the run that they've had. Take a look at Siren's major. Haven't focused on him a lot as he's been overshadowed by the aforementioned Dexter and even Patsy to a degree, but he's had some bonkers series throughout this major. Both matches against Furia, he was lights out. One of those, the quarterfinal series. Let's listen to Kerrigan's thoughts on how the veto went.
When I was watching the veto, they picked 4 different maps, 0 respect for the enemies. We're talking Astralis, Furia, Heroic. I'm like, okay, are they gonna disrespect us?
Kerrigan knows to expect 0 respect from the big names on his squad, and that's exactly what he prepared his team for. They were up to the task. First half was great on the T side. I mentioned Kerrigan has been calling some of the best CS of his career, and look at the T side they put up. After losing the pistol in ensuing second round, FaZe goes off on a 10-2 run. They played the map about as close to perfect as you could ask. Always prepared for the Spirit rotations. Spirit never got comfortable and frequently lost control of the map. Rain was great, ROPS was great, and even Kerrigan put in some work in addition to his calling. 26 kills, 96 ADR for the captain, including a massive 1v3 clutch late in the map. Nobody would have blamed Spirit if they capitulated because they seemed outmatched in this first half onslaught, but they exceeded expectations again, storming back into this map in a powerful second half of their own. Clutches galore down the stretch. Let's listen to the intensity of the map's end.
Somehow got his hands back on it, but now he's got to pick an angle. Now he's got to pick a fight. Flash through CT. First kill for FaZe. Oh, and another. Siren with the reply. 2 kills, and he just about gets out. Oh, could get caught with nades, but he's still. No way! Siren! Oh, man! Up close, cut down. ROPS 1v1, and it's all on this defuse. Taps it. Oh! Nails it! FaZe! It's so close, and they've just got it! He's so cool!
Here's Rain's comments on the game plan FaZe brought in for Mirage. It obviously worked like a charm, but nobody knew that was just the appetizer. Dust 2, the main course. Look, there's no way to do this map justice, so we're gonna have to move around the timeline a bit. I highly encourage you to get back and watch the VOD because this was some of the best Counter-Strike we've seen in a long time. Dust 2 was a brawl, back and forth and again. Clutches dictated everything. Magic's making big plays. Dexter making big plays, giving Spirit a late lead. They had 2 chances to win in regulation, but they could not finish FaZe off. So we end up going to overtime. This hit, Spirit had everything going for him. FaZe still managed to break through. Overtime number 1. Twiss is going to get started with a big boy play. A big time clutch in a hectic situation. He would finish the map with 35 kills, 1.22 rating for the map. High impact all throughout the series. And again, Spirit would have 2 map points, and again, FaZe would beat them back. Rain delivered on Dust 2 as he's done all major long. He's going to end up finishing the map with 36 kills of his own. Nothing more spectacular than this. Saving the day, making sure Spirit would not win. Overtime 2. Spirit cranks up the pressure. Suffocating hit onto the 8 bomb site. They'd give themselves another map point here in OT2, but they're unable to convert. That's 5 failed opportunities to take us onto a 3rd map. On to 3rd overtime. FaZe in this round decide to play the game, find a way to lose in this 4-on-1 versus Magic's. He would happily oblige and take the gift. But FaZe's defense in this overtime locked down so tight when they switched side. Here's Harry and Hugo on the call.
Spirit moving in, FaZe are here, they're ready for this. This hole decides it all. Kerrigan up and over the top, and here in the Diamond City, he's going huge, going nuclear.
Sounds like an earthquake erupted in Antwerp. FaZe take a narrow victory and eliminate Spirit from contention. An incredible run stopped short by who else but Rain and Robs. Kerrigan had the final word.
I remember Chopper and Vika Squadson in Boston Major. They beat us and I was like, who's these guys? And then they changed all the players. They come here with an academy player from 4 months ago. Wow, it's not often I'm impressed, but I want everyone in here to give a big hands to Spirit, please.
Classy words from Kerrigan on the stage. We found our first finalist. World ranked #1 FaZe is going to be taking on the winner of our next semifinal. That'll be taking on tomorrow. What a matchup it is that we have coming up in the second semifinal as well. One of the most impressive teams so far in 2022 taking on the reigning champs. It shouldn't be hard to remember Navi's victory over Heroic in the quarterfinals just a couple days back. As we always suspected, Navi would build into this major to peak at the right moment, and that moment is now. Electronic had the hard carry performance versus Heroic to get them to this point. Simple acknowledged it in his pregame interview, said that he felt off his game yesterday. They'd need him today against a squad that has earned the respect of Blade. ENCE was able to shut down Copenhagen Flames' run at Antwerp, revenge from a Legend stage match earlier in this event. A lot of talk so far with ENCE about Spinks and Diha, #1 and #4 rated player of this event, but it's quite the drop off from there. You got to scroll all the way down to find the rest of ENCE ranked 48 statistically, number 48 statistically. That disparity hasn't been an issue yet, but it would be against Navi if their fortunes didn't change. Speaking of which, this semifinal featured the top 4 individual performers of the entire major leading into it. It's a Navi sandwich, bitten simple the meat, Spinks and Diha the bread. Blade had this to say about ENCE after their quarterfinals victory. He knows, and Navi knows, it's a hard route to lift that trophy. It only gets more difficult the deeper you get into the event. Nuke is going to start out the second semifinal series, and right out of the gate, Navi would show they were up to the task. Starting CT side Nuke, they never gave up an inch of ground. Boomich was awesome on CT side Nuke, going for 19 kills and 129 ADR. Simple right behind him with 17 and 106 ADR. Nobody on ENCE finished over 8 frags for the opening half, and that set Navi up for an easy T-side close. There was a little bit of fight from ENCE early on in the second half as they strung together the first 3 rounds. They did pretty good, but nobody even mentioned the word comeback because Navi was just in way too good of form. Simple stepped up his game with some big rounds to make sure Navi had no troubles in the second half. 3 Navi players end with over 100 ADR in the map. Simple had a server high 28 kills for the map. Navi take Nuke 16-7. They put ENCE on the verge of elimination. Good news for ENCE is that they would end up putting up a much better battle on Dust 2 once they were able to actually switch over. Bad news for ENCE is that today they ran into the version of Simple that just doesn't lose big games. This time the offensive side was a powerful starting point for Navi. After losing the first 3 rounds due to the pistol, Navi goes for 9 of the last 12. ENCE would only win 4 gun rounds total, but thank God for that pistol, and obviously thank God too for Madden and Diha. 16 kills for Madden and 14 kills for Diha in the first half would give them some breathing room to work with, but that's just barely keeping them alive. And it just ended up not being enough. Not at all for Simple. He was incredible today and he was having fun with it. He played with the crowd every chance he would get. The defensive side of Dust 2, Simple goes for 20 kills, 160 ADR, 5 of those in that lovely little ace that he just put on. He was good for a 2.49 rating on the whole map. It was absolutely incredible. Electronic might have got them to this point with his performance in the quarterfinal. Simple would get them to the grand final. I'll let Scrawny and Launders close this one out.
Fire trying to stop it, will get one, and then they get bottled. Snappy kills Spinks and Bits big inside sight. Hades in a world of hurt. The Undertaker on the other side of this door to put the cherry on top.
And that's it for ENCE. Navi have fulfilled the prophecy.
Snappy, the in-game leader of ENCE, would have nothing but admiration in a post-game tweet after the brutal loss that they were simply punished for every mistake that they had. The better team won. A great run for ENCE in a dark horse bid, but it falls short. And here is why. What do you say to these numbers in a quick 2-0? Simple would take the rating lead for the entire event after this performance. He just lurks and hovers until the playoffs, and then he takes over. And the GOAT would have some words to end the day and set up the grand final, acknowledging the history of his opponents tomorrow, while also reminding us his goal has always been to establish a legacy, an era with multiple majors. And of course, ready to answer the only question that matters once the sun rises on Grand Final Sunday. Who is the best? No doubt in his mind, but one more obstacle in his path. Semi-finals are done. One match remains at the PGL Major in Antwerp, Belgium. Let's take a look at our playoff bracket one last time, because tomorrow we crown the champion. We anoint the kings of Counter-Strike up until the next major that comes. And there's only one match, so the schedule seems silly, but let's just make sure everyone has their alarm set at the appropriate time to watch a champion be crowned. 2 in a row for Navi, or will Kerrigan and Rain check the major champion box on their resume? A quick word from our sponsor, GG.Bet. You can use code HLTV for first bet insurance and an extra percentage on deposits depending on how close we are to the major final, and we are at the major final. More information available in the YouTube description. Please gamble responsibly. That's our semi-final show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We got one more day left. We're going to be back with you tomorrow to recap the grand finals and close out the PGL Major in Antwerp. We'll see you guys there.
Esports is what we live and breathe. For us, it's more than a game. It's a reality, where a group of letters can mean everything. Where Mirage is a place for bombs, battles, and glory, not an illusion. Where the true heroes are those in front of the screen. GG.Bet. This is real.